Wrinkling and lifting is a fairly uncommon problem when applying a wood finish. But if you're having this problem or you've experienced it in the past, don't fear. I'm Darrel Young with mlcampbell and you've reached the finish line. Welcome back to the finish line. Today we're going to be talking about wrinkling or lifting, which is a wood coating problem that is really just what it sounds like. You spray the coating on the wood and it appears to lift or form wrinkles on the surface. And this is a problem that happens on some subsequent application. It doesn't happen on the first coat. When I spray my first coat on the wood, that doesn't wrinkle. But when I spray on coat number 2 or coat number 3, sometimes that can wrinkle. And if it does, that means something has gone wrong with the previous layer or the previous layers of coating that are already on the wood. When I spray a coating onto a piece of wood, one of two things should happen. Either the coating I'm spraying now should redissolve the layer of coating that is already there and the two should just melt together and then dry, or the coating I'm spraying now should have really no effect on the layer of coating that is underneath it, and they dry basically in two separate layers held together by the sanding profile you created in your sanding process. Where we run into wrinkling is when we have a situation that's kind of somewhere in between those two things. The first coat is neither resoluble, it can't kind of melt when I spray the second coat on, nor is the first coat impervious to the solvents that are in the second coat. So essentially what's happening is when you spray on the second coat, the solvents in coat number 2 are attempting to redissolve coat number 1. Coat number 1 is not readily redissolvable, quite possibly because it's been catalyzed and it's partially cured. However, it's also not completely impervious to the effects of the solvent in coat number 2. So essentially, solvents in coat number 2 are soaking in or absorbing into coat number 1, expanding it, and as it expands, it pops up, and that's what gives us that wrinkling or lifting effect. So why might this be happening? Well, there's a few different reasons why we can end up with wrinkling. Some older technology coatings have what's known as a defined recoat window, and that's a period of time within which we just know that's going to happen. That is, if I recoat, as an example, if I recoat a previously sprayed layer before 1 hour has passed or after 8 hours has passed, I don't get any wrinkling. Another reason this can happen is poor quality reducers. That is, if I add lacquer thinners or reducers to my coating that are not really the ones recommended by the manufacturer. Lacquer thinner is not a commodity. It's made up of all sorts of different solvents depending on who made it. And some solvents are very aggressive and can have a greater tendency to cause wrinkling when it wouldn't otherwise have happened had you used the recommended lacquer thinner or a lacquer thinner of higher quality. Another very common cause of wrinkling is under-catalyzation of the previous coat. That same scenario can happen if I'm mixing different coatings together. For example, if I put a catalyzed coating over an uncatalyzed coating. The catalyzed coating, such as a conversion varnish, over an uncatalyzed coating, such as a vinyl sealer or a nitrocellulose lacquer, the catalyzed coating will melt the uncatalyzed coating. They will mix together and form some sort of a hybrid between the two, a coating that's neither catalyzed correctly nor is it uncatalyzed. Wrinkling may sometimes happen if I sand aggressively on my catalyzed coating film. That is, if I am sanding prior to recoating and I sand right through that dry catalyzed coating layer to a sublayer that is not properly cured or a previous layer that isn't properly cured, upon recoating I can end up with a wrinkle in those areas where I sanded too aggressively. Another reason why we might end up with wrinkling is improper use of retarders. Retarders are often used to slow down the dry time of a coating in hot conditions, but if I'm using a retarder on a cooler day, it can cause the coating to kind of dry on the surface, but stay wet underneath where the slow evaporating solvents of the retarder are trapped. Similarly, excessive film build, especially in high humidity conditions, can give us that same scenario. I've got a really thick, wet film. It's very humid out. The humidity is slowing down evaporation of solvent. Coating skins over on the surface, but isn't really drying and curing properly underneath. Spraying my next coat on can cause a wrinkle in that case. And also, I can find wrinkling in drying conditions that are not conducive to a good dry and a cure. That is, if I'm spraying my coating and allowing it to dry and cure in cool conditions, below 68 degrees, greater tendency when I go to respray that coating that's been curing in cool temperatures that it will not be sufficiently cured. Thanks for joining us today on this episode of The Finish Line. Don't forget to leave comments and questions below if you have them. And also, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this episode. See you again.